Oh, good day. It's the Saint coming at you loud and proud from the land of abusers of all shapes and sizes. Well, look at the last few weeks in Australia. It's been a very tragic time in this country. Very sad what's happened in Victoria. They're still counting the death toll, over 180 or so people. You cannot measure the devastation of what's happened in Victoria. And those in Victoria who are going through such hardship and going through hell, my thoughts and prayers and blessings go to you. I remember many bad bushfires in Victoria. When they happen there, they happen really badly. We have them in Sydney too. But anyway, the last few weeks, and today the news of talking about abusive behaviour in Australia, the old Westgate Bridge. Now, where I was born and raised was right under the Westgate Bridge. I never liked the bridge. It fell down when I was young. That probably says something about my age, but I remember hearing that span of that bridge falling down, killing over 35 workmen. Under the Premier, Henry Bolte, the order came to pull out the bolts, so Bolte pulled out the bolts, and of course a whole span of the bridge fell. This is when they were building it. It was a sinister order. They knew it was going to fall. It was a false insurance claim. So this sort of carnage was the sort of thing I was raised understanding, that from the wealthier side of Melbourne, who we didn't really have much time for. Melbourne is a divided city between the working class and the toffee noses of the east, so we thought at the time. It was very much the sides of the river defined who you were. I don't know if it's still like that, but after this fiasco of the Westgate Bridge, we became a divided city, and it never replaced the chain ferry. Raised on the ports of Melbourne, we were very close to the Port Melbourne, South Melbourne. We used to ride our bikes on the ferry, and around the ports, around Newport, Williamstown, we were the catchment area for the South Melbourne Swans, as it was then, the South Melbourne Swans, because we were part of Melbourne Ports. It was more of a united city because you could drive your car over the ferry, or you could walk, or you could ride your bicycle. We rode our bikes into the city. You can't do that on the Westgate Bridge. I think the Westgate Bridge is a disaster. It really is. You can't walk over it. There's no trams that go over it. Evil, alien object that should never been built. Or if a bridge was built, it should have been built more user-friendly for people to walk, for trams to go over. Not so many tragedies would have happened. And the man that threw the baby over the bridge, I'm talking about abuse, it got too hot, so he threw his baby over the bridge and then jumped. That's very tragic. Yes, it got very hot. And today in Sydney, a baby has been found in a garbage tip. About 16 months ago, another baby was being found in a suitcase. I don't understand that when babies are thrown over bridges into tips and suitcases, how doesn't it get through to people how easy it is to adopt a child out? There is a waiting list of people who want to adopt children. There is no stigma in adopting children out. If you cannot raise a child, then it is your responsibility to hand the children over for somebody who can, who have the socioeconomic means to give that child a decent life. Hand it over. It deserves to live. And in the meantime, you have the right to lifers, who are big in America, who demonstrate abortion clinics and picket them and give violence to people who go into them. They even bomb them sometimes. They're so passionate. These are babies not even born yet. But in Australia, what happens? They're throwing in bins and off bridges and God knows what. They don't want them. Then something like Lindy Chamberlain, a case in Australia came, and there was an allusion to murder. And anyone would think that there was some sort of huge scandal because a weird religion. This one was evil. Ooh. Lindy Chamberlain was perfectly innocent. And all the time, all the way through this time, people have been putting their babies in garbage bins and in rubbish tips and off bridges. The authorities today asked if the people who threw the baby into the garbage tip, could they please identify themselves to the authorities because they're afraid of for their welfare. Afraid for their welfare? Who's going to believe that? Afraid for their welfare? They're not afraid for their welfare. They want to arrest them, throw them in jail. That is an untruth. It's bollocks. I mean, they really need to say it the way it is. They want the person to identify themselves so that they can work out what happened. And if justice needs to be done, who is responsible, and if so, they can sort it out. Afraid for their welfare. I just don't get that. Anyway, it hasn't been a very good few weeks. To Victoria, my blessings go to you, my home state, where I'm from. I hope things get a lot better very soon and that people will rebuild their lives. God bless you all the same.